Anna with Purl Together, and this week I want to talk to you about creating your own advent kit. So this is the time of the year when we see a lot of advent kits popping up for little mini skeins of yarn, and they're so cute. Often they require pre-orders. Independent yarn dyers, you can find them on Etsy, and various websites, but often they require pre-orders, and this has been going on since probably August or September. I've never done an advent kit before this year. And you know, sometimes it's not in the budget. They're independent dyers, they're very good quality. Usually there's 24 or 25 little mini skeins that can range from, 80 to 90 or 100 yards, and they're just super cute. Now, this is a mini skein that I just skeined up myself from stuff I had in leftovers from full-size skeins. So I want to show you this week how to create your own advent kit. Now I know it would lack some of the surprise of getting this mystery thing in the mail that's already wrapped. Each one usually comes wrapped in tissue paper or in a bag, and then they have stickers 1 through 24 or 1 through 25. So you open, the whole idea is that you open one each day of December, and you knit that mini skein on a pattern that's written for mini skeins. Now sometimes they're gradients, sometimes they're just, different coordinating colors, but not necessarily a gradient fade. But what I want to focus on today is how you can create your own advent kit for yourself. If maybe you don't have it in the budget to buy one, or if you just don't want to this time, that's totally okay. You have options, and you can kind of mix it up and make it a surprise if you like. Now, if you have a stash or some coordinating skeins that you might like to split up into 80, 85, 90, or 100 yards each, you could totally do that, and then I'll make a list of patterns down below in the video description and also in the Ravelry group that might work for your mini skeins. So if you're like me and you have 24 or 25 little mini skeins, and even if you make it yourself, you're not going to remember what's what for what day. So it's, well, at least I wouldn't. I wouldn't remember which of these little skeins is number 1 and which is number 15, for example. I just don't have that much brain reserve. So I'm going to show you how you can create your own by using up some scraps, or if you choose to split up a bigger size, full-size skein, how you might go about measuring and calculating that yardage. All right, before we get started, I want to give a big hearty shout out and a thank you to our 2 newest Purl Together patrons. Thank you so much to Mary and Thelma for joining the Purl Together patron family. You can check it out over at patreon.com/purltogether and see what benefits I'm offering for a small monthly pledge. All right, let's get started on those minis. These are just some of the leftovers that I have, and I want to see if any of these are going to be enough to make mini skeins for my DIY advent kit. So this one feels a little bit small to me, but I'll probably go ahead and measure it anyway. And I'm just going to start with one of these bigger ones so that I can see what 80 to 90 yards might look like. It should be about 20 grams, but the thing is this could be 18 or 19 grams, but if it's a little bit thinner of a fingering weight, then maybe it really is 85 yards or 90 yards, even if it's a little bit light on the grams, because it depends on the fabric content and the actual thickness of the yarn. So let's take this one and see what we have. All right, the first thing I'm going to want to do is measure the outside diameter of my Swift. And in this case, I'm going to move the pegs on my tabletop Swift here all the way to the outside, because I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, that is a full 60 inches when the pegs are on the outside of mine all the way around. So, but I'm going to take my little fabric measuring tape here and make sure that that is true. So I'm going to get this all the way out to its full length, that 60 inches, and measure around the outside here of my Swift. Yep, and it's right on the money, 60 inches. In fact, it might be more like 60 and a half. So I'd rather have it be a little big than a little small, so that way I'll be sure to have enough yarn. Okay, so I know that 1 time around is 1 yard. So I'm going to just attach, I'm going to take a loop here, just fold it over a loop, put my fingers up through and down around the outside to make a little lark's, I call that a lark's head knot. I'm not sure what other people call it, but I'm going to slip that down over the peg and just tighten it up, and that's my method of securing. Then I'm probably just going to drop this on the floor so it will feed from the outside, and I'm just going to start twirling this And I'm just going to wind this up and continue on. So then, you guessed it, I'm just going to count the strands and see how many yards I have. And then I can rewind this if I want, or I can make a tiny little mini skein out of it. If I was going to mail it to someone, I'd probably make a nice little mini skein, and I'll show you how to do that. Or I'll just rewind it right off the Swift. I'll just, rewind, put it on the ball winder and make a little mini cake or a cupcake. Okay, I've reached the end here, and you can see where I tied on originally, or did that little lark's head slip thing. So I have however many full revolutions, and I'm going to stop right here and I'm going to count. I'm going to count just before. I'm going to count on this side. So I'll probably just wind that around, wind this around a little bit here, and this is where I'm going to count. But let's say that I did want to make a nifty little mini skein with this one. What I could do now is take this little bit here, go into the middle, hang on to it here, and go around underneath like that, and do that a couple of times just to secure that tail end. And I can do the same with this side over here. I've undone this one here, and I can do the same thing where I go into the middle of the strand, back through and around, and just secure that. Easy enough. Then if I wanted to make a mini skein, I would just simply loosen all of these, and I would take this off, hold it, do some twists until it starts to twist it, until it starts to double back on itself. So you can see it's starting to double back on itself. I might do that a couple more times just to make it a little bit tighter. And then I like mine to be pretty tight. And then all you're going to do is put one end in through the other and let it twist around itself. Cute. That takes a little practice to make them look nice, but you get the idea. There you go. Now, I would also put a string tag on here, or maybe a little piece of paper in a band, and just label the yardage that it is. So I'm going to carry on and do a few more of those and see. I'm going to go through a bunch of my scrap bits, and I'm going to actually see if I have 25 colors that I might like to have a candidate for a DIY advent kit. I may not. If I decide to make my own advent kit, I might decide to break up some larger skeins that I have in my stash that are actually full skeins. And if I do that, I would still want to measure them off, and I could do that by weight or by yardage. It depends on how you want to wrap it. You know, if you want to make little cakes and do it by weight, you could totally do that. And I'll show you that as well. So I went to my stash and I found this long forgotten yarn. I'm not entirely sure what this was. It's been in my stash for several years. I don't have the ball bend anymore after moving house a couple of times, and so I don't rightly know. I'm relatively certain that it's superwash fingering weight. So what I've done is weighed it. The whole thing is 138 grams. It could be 420 yards. It could be 440 yards. I really don't know for sure how many mini skeins I could get from this, but I do know that it's 138 grams. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is measure off 85 yards, say, and then weigh that amount so I know how many grams equals 85 yards. Then I'll know how many mini skeins I can get from this ball. So I did that, and now I have this tiny little mini cake. This is 20 yards. I know that because I measured it off. And then I can see what the balance is here and how much this weighs. Now, obviously I haven't cut it yet because I'm not quite sure if I want to do this. First of all, if I want to split this whole skein, and I also wanted to carry on and get 80 to 90 yards if I decide to split this up into mini skeins. But first, let's find out how many grams this is. Okay, I have this triple beam balanced gram scale. And my husband actually uses this for raw elements in the pottery studio, and so it's already set. It's tared out where the net weight is for this bucket. It's zeroed out for this bucket. So I just put my yarn inside the bucket. And it's a little crude, but it works. Okay, so I am estimating that that's probably only about 10 or 20 grams. Yep, it's between 10 and 20. Let's see. So now we got to do some math. It's been sitting in my stash this long, I may as well use it. But you'll have to decide each skein for yourself. And it also depends on what else I find in my stash that I might want it to coordinate with. So you get the idea. Then you can do this for yourself. You can wrap up 25 little mini skeins in some tissue paper, or you can get a family member to do that. Put a little sticker on the back, or a little, tie it with some string and a tag that says 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 24, and you'll have one to open each day. And if you're like me, you're not going to remember which one was in which day or which package anyway. So make sure that you designate, or if you're okay with being surprised, lay them out in the order that you want if it's a gradient, and either open them and pretend you're surprised. Or if you're knitting along with the Advent Throw with me, Amba O'Brien's Radvent Throw, then those are individual blocks that will become a throw, and it doesn't matter in which order I knit them. I'm going to arrange them how I want anyway later. So that's going to be a lot of fun. You can use tissue paper, you can get little paper bags that are Christmassy, whatever you think, whatever works best for you. Okay, when you're finished, you can leave them in skein form like this and just wrap them up in tissue paper, or you can go ahead and make little mini cakes and put them like on tissue paper like this, and then pull up the edges and, tie them in a little knot at the top with some string or some yarn, and then put on your sticker or a string tag that tells what number that it is, and then you have all your little skeins for your patterns. Now again, I'll put some pattern suggestions down below in the video description that you can go and look at that use mini skeins specifically. I'm collaborating with Amba O'Brien. She runs an amazing Advent knit along over in her Ravelry group. And we're going to be doing a daily video, and that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll open our little mini skeins together, and you can see what project I've chosen and which project she's chosen. She's in Australia, so it's going to be a little bit of a time zone coordination feat for us to do a daily video together, but it's going to be a blast. So I hope you join us on the channel for that, and go check out her Ravelry group as well as the Purl Together Ravelry group. More information to come on that. Stay tuned. Click like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.